blocked the media from covering the exhumation of bodies at the Shakahola mass gravesite.
Tungependa kusema kwamba ili eneo ambalo ni hekari 800 ambalo Mackenzie alikuwa anakaa limeweza kuwa ni mahali ambapo mtu yeyote atakikani kuingia pale ndani.
Interior CS says the area is an active security operation zone and no access to it by the public shall be permitted effective today. Tonight, we bring you the story of a Jua Kali artisan whose sons were nearly lost to the Shakahola cult, which is reportedly linked to controversial pastor Paul Mackenzie Benson Mutemba.
Wakati mtoto alionekana tu ameanza kusema kazi ni ya shetani, biashara ni ya shetani, shule ni ya shetani.
Former President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, speaks out in defense of his party amidst the ongoing disputes.
And we shall solve it. And we shall have our meetings and we shall call our meetings as and when. And the membership of the party will decide the future of the party.
He urged the Kenya Kwanza government to respect and refrain from interfering with the Jubilee party, just as he respected their power. My name is Dennis Otieno. Our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. Now, I trust you're doing well. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, on to our top story tonight. Journalists were barred from accessing Shakahola Forest in Kilifi County, an area where bodies of tens of people who are Paul Mackenzie's were exhumed. Coast Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha says 5 bodies were exhumed today, bringing the total to 95 people who lost their lives in the cult. Currently, 40 people have been rescued and 22 people have been arrested. Gilbert Nalwa tells us more.
Journalists have been prohibited from entering Shakahola, where a search for bodies has been ongoing for 5 days in Malindi. The decision comes as an exhumation operation is currently taking place in the area. The Interior Cabinet Secretary explained that Shakahola is an active security operation zone, and as of today, no public access will be permitted. It remains uncertain if the state will continue to provide updates to the public regarding the situation. The forest in Kilifi County has been the center of attention for the last 1 week. Followers of the Good News International church leader Paul Mackenzie have been found in a terrible state here after they were instructed to starve themselves to death. Close to 100 have since died. Coast Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha says bodies of 5 children were exhumed today at Mackenzie's home within the Shakahola forest.
Kufikia sasa tumeweza kufufua miili ya watu 95. Kuna wale ambao wameweza kuokolewa ambao ni 39 na pia tumeweza kushika wale watu ambao walikuwa Mackenzie na wale watu walikuwa wanamsaidia kufanya mambo haya, watu 22.
Earlier on, Labour Cabinet Secretary Florence Bore narrated the horrific stories from children who were rescued from the Shakahola forest.
Yes, that is why I'm here. I saw the majority are children, and it was very, very unfortunate that children had to be put through that. For adults, they choose whether to follow one faith or another. But for children, you don't force them. They are still babies. They are under 18 years. They should be protected by all costs.
Gilbert Nalwa, TV47.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Red Cross Society has so far recorded 213 persons who have been confirmed missing. The society, together with the government, has set up a helpline for those who suspect that their relatives could be in the vast forest. Take a look.
The Kenya Red Cross Society has recorded 213 persons missing, among them 112 who are children below 18 years who are suspected to be followers of controversial Malindi pastor Paul Mackenzie.
So unapata kuna tatizo fulani mental health kupitia wale ambayo bado ni wazima. Nikisema wazima wenye kutafuta watu wao.
This comes after 73 bodies were exhumed in Shakahola in what has been described as one of the biggest horrific mass graves.
Serikali kwamba sahihi imejua kwamba kuna tatizo na tatizo hili lazima litatuliwe kwa sababu mtu huyu ameanza na harakati hii ya kuleta itikadi hii potofu muda mrefu.
According to the Kenya Red Cross Society Coast Regional Coordinator Hassan Musa, they are still receiving more relatives of family members who are in search of their loved ones.
Na niko hapa kwa ajili ya msichana wangu ambaye nilikuwa naye, msichana wangu wa kwanza ameolewa na yeye na bwanake wote walikuwa wanaenda kanisa kwa Mackenzie. Na wamekaa hapo kwa muda mrefu mpaka kanisa ikafungwa, mpaka Mackenzie akaenda Shakahola na msichana wangu akabaki huko, alikuwa bado yuko huku, hata ameenda huko tu mwaka juzi ndo ameenda upande huo wa Shakahola.
Musa further said that they have also requested for a 4-foot container from the headquarters which will be installed at the morgue to help in preserving the bodies.
Hali kule Shakahola tunaendelea na mambo ya kuokoa wale ambao tunaweza kuokoa kwa sababu kufikia sasa kuna wale tumeokoa kufikia mchana wakati tulikuwa pale watu karibu 28.
According to a press release from the Ministry of Interior and National Administration, the area has been termed an active security operation zone and no access to it by the public will be allowed unless permitted by the operation commander or orders are vacated.
Tungependa kusema kwamba ili eneo ambalo ni hekali 800 ambalo Mackenzie alikuwa anakaa limeweza kuwa ni mahali ambapo mtu yeyote atakikani kuingia pale ndani.
Tonight we tell you the story of a jua kali artisan who almost lost his sons in the Shakahola cult linked to controversial Pastor Paul Mackenzie Benson Mutimba, who says Paul Mackenzie has been a source of pain to him and his family for the last 4 years. Mutimba, a resident of Siaya, says that he cried to God when he lost one of his sons, a former captive of the pastor's teachings who was rescued from the cult but continued suffering the effects until he lost his life at the Siaya County Referral Hospital in March this year.
Alikuwa amepita vizuri sana form 4 na akaitwa Kibabii University. Tena wakati aliitwa Kibabii University nikashukuru Mungu, ambia Mungu asante kwa kubariki mtoto.
John Mutinda hoped one day his children would save him from his Juakali artisan work after sweating hard to make sure they get education and change the situation back at home. But all these efforts turned out to be full of pain and anger. To the 45-year-old Juakali man, the ongoing horror at Shakahola village in Malindi, where tens of bodies are being exhumed from graves and emaciated people being rescued from the yoke of Pastor Mackenzie, is an answer to prayers he had made to God to save innocent children and their parents from the strange hold of the cult.
Wakati mtoto arudi shule vile ilifunga mtoto akukuja, wenzako amerudi, nikafuata nikapata wenzako amerudi naye bado karibu wiki moja ndiye akaonekana. Wakati mtoto alionekana tu ameanza kusema kazi ni ya shetani, biashara ni ya shetani, shule ni ya shetani. Ati mama acha hiyo kazi unafanya, dadi acha hiyo biashara unafanya. Pia watoto wetu hao wasiende shule, naonya na wakatasema umetolea mambo wapi? Ati mambo nimetolea Mombasa kwa kanisa ya Good News International Church.
The story backdates to the year 2019 when his eldest son Felix Juma, then a student at Kibabii University, came back from school and began talking negatively about the education system as well as the jobs that his parents did. The same year he convinced his 3 other brothers to join him and they all traveled to the coastal town of Malindi. His father John Mutinda made several calls to find out where his children had gone, but to no avail. When he contacted his eldest son, he was shocked to learn that his 3 children had joined their brother in coast to receive what he was told was the word of God at the Good News International Church presided over by Pastor Mackenzie.
Na wakaniambia ametoka lini, nasema karibu siku 2 sijamuona na wenzake tena siwaoni. Sasa nashuku penye anaweza kuwa ndio penye watoto wanaweza kuwa. Sasa ndio wakaniambia twende kwa DCI Bungoma, anaitwa Mzokia. Vile tulienda kwake akatrack, akaona namba ya moyo kijana wangu kwa Mombasa mahali anaita Malindi. Na akaniambia mtoto wako kwa Malindi. Nikashangaa amefikaje Malindi na jana alikuwa nyumbani.
Though he succeeded in bringing his children back, this was the beginning of another battle of bringing his children back psychologically. When he thought that he had won the battle that threatened to separate him from his sons, the second phase was unknown to him. Coming in the year 2021, his eldest son abandoned school again and opted to join Pastor Mackenzie in Malindi. This happened after he had undergone the counseling sessions and therapies that were prescribed. This would be the beginning of the second phase of the battle he had fought earlier that led to closure of the church in 2019. And in March this year, one of his younger sons, a Standard 8 candidate who had just registered for this year's Kenya Certificate for Primary Education KCPE, also sneaked out quietly to rejoin his elder brother at the Doomsday Cult.
Mimi wangu wa Ambira ameaga, tulimzika, ni uchungu sana. Kwa hivyo pia ni ombi langu kwamba Victor Maleche mahali yuko na Felix Deta mahali yuko, warejee nyumbani, warejee shuleni. Kwa sababu sisi wazazi tumehangaishwa sana, hata tukiweka chakula kwa meza hatuli kwa sababu tunawaza watoto wako wapi. Wakati tunaangalia yale makaburi yakifukuliwa hivyo, unashangaa wako naye yako wapi.
His wife Esther Mukungu also called on the government to step up and rescue the two boys who went back to Pastor Mackenzie.
Hata tukiweka chakula kwa meza hatuli kwa sababu tunawaza watoto wako wapi. Wakati tunaangalia yale makaburi yakifukuliwa hivyo, unashangaa wako naye yako wapi. Je, yako katikati ya wale ambao wamefukuliwa? Hatujui. Kwa hivyo tunabaki tukishangaa, tukiwa na wasiwasi, tukishangaa watoto wako wapi. Ni ombi langu kama wangali hai, warejee shule, warejee nyumbani, warejee pia shuleni.
The exercise of exhuming bodies is still ongoing at the Shakahola village, with more than 94 bodies being exhumed by close of business on Wednesday. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
Now, some Kenyan clergy members are calling for all religious leaders to disclose their financial assets publicly. They are worried about the rise of many self-proclaimed spiritual teachers who are only seeking to swindle innocent and vulnerable individuals. And as our reporter Olo Hores tells us, they are urging Kenyans to remain vigilant and stay informed about the increasing number of scams.
The ill is not only about Kilifi. It's not only about these cults. It's about a whole society.
Reacting to the shocking Shakahola cult massacre that has led to revelations of at least 90 deaths of Kenyans in Kilifi County, the Nyeri Archbishop Anthony Muheria now wants Kenyans to be careful about spiritual leaders purporting to be religious teachers when they really just want to defraud unsuspecting and vulnerable people.
Instrumentalization and manipulation of misery. Everyone is using the misery of Kenyans, the poverty, to get mileage. Politicians, they are doing exactly that, instrumentalizing the poverty of our people.
Muheria now wants all religious leaders to publicly declare their financial wealth, saying that the government should come in and audit the income of spiritual leaders in a bid to create more accountability and avert similar scenarios.
And that we audit the wealth of all religious leaders. All of us, including myself, should be able to declare what I have in my accounts. And it should be something public for all the Christians who follow my church. They should know how much I have and how much I own. That is the only way those who are the congregation can be defended from the greed of any rogue religious leaders.
Officials of the NCCK Bungoma branch have also come out in support of taming pseudo-religions in order to root out fake leaders who are out to mislead their followers.
We call upon the government to take the necessary stern action as per the law against this satanic cultic man that has cost many lives of many families. We ask the authorities to take action against all cultic perpetrators that have caused the deaths in Malindi and other parts of this nation.
They want the government to work with the church in coming up with the laws that will deal with the toxic religious cults.
Tunataka tuweze kuhimiza serikali ya kwamba ikiweka mikakati ya kufanya regulation ya kanisa iweze kushirikiana na umbrella bodies ambazo zimetajwa kama vile NCCK, kama vile Conference of Catholic Bishops vile wamesema na mengine, kwa sababu tusiposhirikiana serikali halitajua ni lipi ambalo linafaa sana ili liweze kutumika kwa kuwezesha kanisa iweze kuwa regulated.
Olo Hores, TV47.
Now, tonight, Kilifi Governor Gideon Mung'aro speaks out about the growing Shakahola mass grave crisis. As the number of exhumed bodies rises, the county chief absolves himself of any responsibility for the security issue. He also calls for an overhaul of the security leadership in the county. In an interview, Mwege William engages with the first-time governor, asking how this situation escaped his 8-month administration's attention.
It is a matter that has gotten the attention of not only Kenyans, but the world at large. Shocking, the Shakahola situation. 90 bodies and counting being exhumed from that particular place. And tonight we are joined by Kilifi Governor, that is Gideon Mung'aro, to understand what really has been taking place in this particular area. Governor, thank you for your time here on TV47. Straight into it, let's understand, even before we talk about Kilifi County, as Kenyans, the whole country, how did we get to this particular situation that we are witnessing in Shakahola?
I think in Kenya we have allowed anybody, basically any Tom, Dick and Harry can open today a church. People, when they want to have ugali on their table, they will just start a church anywhere. You'll see sometimes you drive in these roads, even in my own county, you find 3 people with public addresses outside preaching to themselves. I think, I know this debate has been there before, but I think what we need seriously to do is to regulate churches. And they must, the people who are even given license must be thoroughly investigated before they are allowed to operate these churches.
Well, Governor, even before we talk or discuss the issue about regulating of churches, something that Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki had hinted on, let's talk about this whole issue. You as the CEO, as the Chief Executive Officer of Kilifi County, the governor for 8 months now, you mean you didn't know what was happening in Shakahola?
Within the county, you can't know much because you see on the ward level, we have a ward administrator. This matter, as you have seen, it's happening in a forest. Yeah? To anybody think in their senses that a ward administrator will be walking in a forest every morning to see what is going on, it's impossible. The only people who could have given us information, because there are at least houses there, unless they tell us there's no nyumba kumi in that area, there's no village elders, because there's several houses there. So either they did not form those groups where they normally have village elders and nyumba kumi. Some would be either slept on the job, or some people knew and they didn't report. The investigation will tell, because you are told that even there are people who are working there as a gang. I think 8 of them have been arrested, who normally guard these people who have gone to fast. What does it tell you? That probably even some people went just for prayers and they were forced to fast. Yeah, who knows? So it's a matter which needs serious investigation. But as a county government, as you know, all well know, that we are not in charge of security apparatus at the county level. The chair of the county security team is the county commissioner. We don't sit in the committees.
But I imagine once in a while you are in constant communication with the county commissioner, who is also in Kilifi County. I believe you do talk to the county commissioner.
Yeah, we talk. Yeah, I talk with the police. I meet with them, but they never told me that anybody had a knowledge of what was going on. I've never heard of it. The last time I heard of that guy called Mackenzie was around 2019, when the then area member of parliament for Malindi, now the current CS gender, Honorable Aisha Juma, was complaining that there's a church where somebody is tearing certificates of people, and she raised an alarm. And the guy was arrested briefly and then was released again, I think by court, or I don't know if by the police, I can't remember. And then he allegedly apparently announced that he had stopped preaching and has closed his church. Yeah.
Well, if that is the case, then talking of ward administrators, who do they report to? I believe, again, ward administrators, they do report to you on what is happening on the ground level, at the grassroots level.
They have never brought, it has never come to them. At the ward level, what they do is they coordinate county affairs, especially projects and anything to do with the county, all the devolved functions. So at a ward level, you would have the ward administrator. Sometimes you would have extension officers of agriculture, and you have seen that place is a forest. There's no agricultural activities which are going on, where probably an extension officer would have noticed something and reported. So at that level, you know, the ward administrator doesn't have much reporting, because it doesn't have a structure of village administrators, which is not yet on. We are thinking, when we have a budget in future, to implement that, because it's part of the structure which has not been put in the county at the moment. But we have been in office for 8 months, so before we can go to those levels, we need also to check our wage bill and see when we can also engage village administrators. Probably at that point we'll be able to get more information from a much lower level. Yeah. For now, the people who are there are assistant chiefs, village elders, nyumba kumi. Those are the people probably who have information. They don't report to us, they don't report to the ward administrator, they report to the chief reports to the DO reports to the DC reports to the county commissioner. That's how it goes.
Governor, as you respond to these issues, you are speaking like you are vindicating yourself from this particular whole matter.
No, I'm not vindicating myself. It's not my duty, security. So for me to say that I should have known, I could have known only when the security apparatus of the county had informed me, no, Governor, there's this and this going on in the county. If nobody reports to me, I wouldn't know. But I think if they knew themselves, probably wouldn't be where we are, unless somebody knew and then neglected the information. But as you see, everybody is baffled, including the security.
Well, since you took the reins of power, it is approximately 8 months since you took over as the governor of Kilifi County. And this whole issue, as earlier mentioned, you heard of it in 2019. And it did not get to your attention of what was happening in Shakahola.
First of all, the land which this guy is occupying is a controversial property. When I was MP for Malindi, Shakahola was part of my area. And that time we had the problem of Chakama Ranch, which originally belonged to the people of Kilifi. They had a group ranch, which eventually then exchanged hands. Some grabbers took a loan in a bank. During the Kibaki time, I followed it up as MP for Malindi, and I got Chakama Phase 1 paid back by the government. Then it was demarcated and allocated to the people. Before I left Malindi, just when I came as MP for Kilifi North, we managed to also secure Chakama 2, which was also allocated to the people. The area this guy is called Chakama 3. It is still controversial because somebody somewhere also has a title which he took from the ranchers and took a loan in the bank. So there's still a matter being pursued by both us and the national government. So it's an area where you wouldn't have said even the community is living there as squatters or as allocated land. You can see you have very sparsy shelters there, and you have to really go deep in the forest to find them. Today we have actually sent a dozer to try to make roads so that becomes easy also for the people who are the homicide team which are on the ground. So it's a security area. It's the only place where somebody who wants to probably move in that forest must be armed, because you never know what you might... you don't forget that the same area where that Italian girl was kidnapped. So that's a forest which goes deeper. When you follow it up, it can lead you all the way to Boni Forest. So,
Governor, fair enough. We are talking about security agencies, administrators. Then let me pick your mind on this. Then who should be held culpable to whatever is happening in Shakahola? Bodies being exhumed, people being saved, people being rescued from the forest. But most worrying are the numbers which keep rising on a daily basis of bodies being exhumed.
I think this is not a matter of just having a blame on who is supposed to be blamed. I think what we need to say, both the national government who are in charge of security and the county government, is that we need to be more vigilant, because if such a thing happens in such a place, then what else can happen? If somebody can live there, people visit there, but we need also to encourage our people, the borders, all these people, to be, there's the community policing must be really relooked into. We are doing the community policing thing now in Kilifi, and soon it will come to the assembly, so that we can have more. This is not because of this incident, we had already started, so that we can be able to be more involved in also these matters of the community. Because if such an incident can go on, this area is where not Shakahola but Chakama, very close, it's the same location. Chakama location is equivalent to a whole constituency. That's why the minister yesterday, the CS yesterday was saying we should gazette that place as a division so that it can have a DO, security apparatus on the ground, because it's a very big constituency. This constituency is where the former governor, the current speaker of the Senate comes from, is that location, that ward. Adu Ward starts from the border of Garsen to Shakahola. If you drive from the Malindi Road, from where the border of Adu Ward till Shakahola will be over 110 kilometers. So it's really a vast area, ward, which even I'm sure everybody who is there, the ward administrator, all the government officials probably concentrate on the villages which are developed, where there's a population. Probably place like the Shakahola area where they have that forest, you wouldn't be able to know. I would have noticed probably even myself. I took a tour with the director, one of the cost director of KWS with the county commissioner. We flew there with a helicopter for over 2 hours to check for charcoal burning. You could notice the charcoal where people are burning, but because of the canopy of the forest, you cannot really detect if people very easily.
Then, from where you sit, as the governor, as the person in charge of Kilifi County in the devolved unit, would you recommend for the reshuffle of top security organs who are serving currently in your county?
In view of what has happened, I think the national government should to look into the security apparatus in Kilifi. Some of them are quite new, you might blame them for nothing. Probably they need to look who was there from 2019. Probably to check those people who have been in 2019. There are people who probably have overstayed in the area. Probably the government needs to move in and change these people. I know the county commander is quite new. There are quite few officers who are quite new. The county commissioner is hardly 2 weeks. So to also apportion blame to them, I think would be unfair. I think we need to check the people who are probably overstayed from the security in the county.
At the center of all this raging debate is one man by the name Paul Mackenzie. And earlier on, Interior Cabinet Secretary for that is Kithure Kindiki, while addressing the media in Shakahola when he visited that place, he did recommend that the prosecuting and also the investigating bodies to build up a case against Paul Mackenzie that he might be charged with possible counts of terrorism and also genocide. What is your take on this?
I don't know. I don't want also people to call it terrorism, because once you call it terrorism and that this thing have now catched the world attention, probably might paint Kilifi as a terrorist zone, which will not be very fair for tourism, especially for us who rely on tourism. Kilifi relies on tourism, and Kilifi is safe, apart from this incident of Mackenzie. So I would say they build a case on very strong grounds to make sure that this guy doesn't go scot-free. But I think the word terrorism, we must go easy a bit, because it might alarm our visitors who come to Kilifi County.
Again, there's this whole debate that has been dominating across most Kenyans, the whole issue of regulating religious institutions. Even as we wrap this particular discussion, what is your take on this as a leader within the country?
I think the government has always been doing this with the mosques because of terrorism, as you said, and I think it should expand. Now you have realized, before you thought maybe it's only Muslim who are radicalized by the Al-Shabaab team, and now you have seen it's also in church. This is even worse, because nobody was shot dead. There was no bomb. But look the number of people who have died, with nobody who is probably holding a knife, unless we get to know from the autopsies if anybody was murdered. What does it tell us? That the danger is not only those who are armed, but the radicalization of the people on various angles. One thing the police probably need to establish is did these people starve willingly or were they forced to starve? Because we have seen that already 8 people who are guarding these people who have been arrested, and the police is still expanding the net, as you have said. We need to get to know, did people go there just simply for a prayer, then they were held hostage, yeah, to this level? There are so many things which must be unraveled in this thing. It's not a matter of just arresting and whatever. People need to get to know, and then you can build up the case. I was speaking yesterday with the president of the Law Society of Kenya, and they're intending to come in, they're creating a team to come in next week to see how we can also try to stand for the victims. And one of the things I think they need to really seriously look into during the autopsy is to check if some of these people were either strangled or were they murdered, or is only purely starvation. Yeah.
Many people have been asking since this revelation of Shakahola, bodies been exhumed there. You have not been seen much around. One will question, where have you been?
No, I was, when the first day when this thing happened, I had a very serious ear infection for 2 days. But still, I got up and I met with the count commander with all the pains I had. And I made sure that I mobilized the arrest, because when these 4 bodies were discovered, the guy went missing. And I called the count commander, we sat, and she said maybe if we give a reward for those people who will volunteer information, will be good. And I did it as a county. All the operations which have been going on there are being funded by the county, by the way. And I gave a reward, and 6 hours later we arrested Mackenzie. Yeah. When he was arrested, we started the other operations, and we've been on the ground. As I'm talking to you, we because the hospital is overwhelmed, the morgues are overwhelmed, we managed to coordinate with Red Cross, who we work very closely with. I'm a member, I'm the patron of Red Cross in Kilifi County. By this morning, we have received a 40-foot container, which is going to operate as a temporary morgue at the hospital, which will be able to accommodate up to 300 bodies. Already we have hired a crane from Mombasa, because we don't have any in Kilifi County. It's on its way to Malindi. By 3 o'clock, we should have a morgue set up and running, because even already the bodies where they are being held, they might rot. It might be difficult for the autopsy then. So by 3 o'clock this afternoon, we hope. So we have been on the ground. I have a team with dozers going to the ground to make roads. I'll be there on Friday. But from day one, I think the county team has been on the ground feeding people, making sure the police who are working there are well fed. All the operations going on there are being handled by the county. We have, I personally paid the first accommodation for not even the county at the beginning, because the county, you have procedures to follow. I paid myself to accommodate the people who were rescued from there. Yeah, after the church where they were, the church said they were supposed to be moved. I made sure that I got a place, a school where the owner accepted that we can accommodate them. We are not accommodating only the people who have been rescued, even the family members who have come to claim their people are all being fed by the county. Yeah.
Bwana Governor, I think we will have to call it a wrap on that particular note. Thank you for making time for us here on TV47. But to our viewer, this is a story that we are going to keep tabs on. 90 bodies and counting have been exhumed in Shakahola. Our very own Sharon Baranga will be pitching tent in that particular county to bring us more details. And this is a story that we will be keeping tabs here on TV47. But for now, we call it a wrap on this discussion with the governor, but more news on the other side.
Radio 4
headquarters in Nairobi between supporters of Acting Secretary General Kanini Kega and those of suspended Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni. Police were forced to move in with speed and lob tear gas to disperse supporters of the two camps. A section of Jubilee members were heard claiming that the ODM party was interfering with the affairs of the former ruling party. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta arrived at the Jubilee headquarters and condemned the police for reportedly causing violence witnessed on Wednesday afternoon.
Ugly scenes were witnessed at the Jubilee Party headquarters on Wednesday afternoon, as supporters of Acting Secretary General Kanini Kega clashed with those of suspended Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni. The supporters were seen throwing stones in the office that is located in Kileleshwa before police officers used tear gas canisters to disperse them. A section of Jubilee Party members claimed that the ODM party was interfering with the affairs of the former ruling party. This came on the backdrop of the court having declined to suspend the decision of members of the party's National Executive Council, who appointed Kega to replace Kioni.
That we are going to close these offices because Kioni is purporting to operate from the Jubilee headquarters, yet he is not the Secretary General. So from today, these offices will be closed.
And anybody calling him SG of Jubilee, even in the 4th estate, please get that ruling, read it. I saw one of the papers referring to him as SG. Kioni remains suspended, and his two friends, they remain suspended.
Kioni's supporters reportedly tried to enter the offices by force before they were stopped. Minority leader in the National Assembly, Opiyo Wandayi, and other ODM leaders were also denied entry.
I was surprised, actually horrified, to see a whole contingent of police officers accompanying people who were actually throwing stones. And this is not what we fought for. Multipartyism is supposed to give us an opportunity to say what you want from where you want. We will take care of this.
Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, who arrived later on, condemned police for what he termed as using force.
Kuna majirani mnawatupia tear gas ndio mchukue nyumba kwa nguvu. Hiyo sio haki. Hiyo sio sheria. Na mimi nawauliza, na tumewaona sasa mara mingi sasa mukienda barabara ya kukosa kufuata haki.
As he called for peace, Uhuru, who is the Jubilee Party leader, urged police to exercise their mandate according to the law. He apologized to people who neighbor the building that house party offices for the inconvenienced costs.
And we don't need to be governed or to be ruled or to be pushed by police or to be... We will make our decisions in a peaceful manner because we are peaceful people who wish to live in a peaceful country in coexistence with all the peoples of our republic.
The Court of Arbitration on Political Parties Matters last week requested the leaders to solve their differences out of court. In the ruling delivered on April 16th, the court said the notice for the NEC meeting met the party's constitution. However, the court ruled that the letter from the Registrar of Political Parties on February 13, which declared Kega duly elected SG, went against the law. Mike Kagwongo, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Mike Kagwongo, for that report. Meanwhile, Azimio Coalition Party leader Raila Odinga jets back to the country this Friday from the United Arab Emirates for a grand homecoming tour planned by Azimio leaders that will culminate with a public rally in Kibra. Confirming his return, Minority Leader in the National Assembly, Opiyo Wandayi, said Raila's entourage will proceed from the airport to Kamkunji grounds, where Odinga will unveil his second round of mass protests starting on the 2nd of May. Apollo Kamau reports.
The future of the bipartisan talks hangs in the balance after Tuesday's dialogue process failed, with Azimio saying the talks have been suspended.
We've hit a stalemate and we've suspended these talks until such time as there might be consensus along the lines reached or the position changes.
A statement by the leader of the minority party, Opiyo Wandayi, says, and I quote, "As a party, we are gearing to accord him a grand welcome on arrival at the JKIA, then join him in a grand procession to the People's Baraza at Kamukuji Grounds, Kibra constituency."
Members thank me.
Odinga's arrival coincides with the day Kenya Kwanza bipartisan team was set to announce the bipartisan talks progress after talking to Odinga and President William Ruto. Azimio says it's not aware of such plans, while Kenya Kwanza says plans to meet the two leaders are underway.
To announce that I have picked
Odinga's Friday homecoming will set the stage for mass action, scheduled to start on the 2nd of May, where he is expected to give more details on the planned protest to be confined in Nairobi only. Wandayi says, and I quote, "We appeal to all supporters of our quest for a just, fair and democratic nation that prioritizes its citizens to turn up in large numbers and welcome Honorable Odinga home and attend the Kibra rally." Kenya Kwanza is opposed to Odinga's idea to have side-by-side protests to the talks, but Azimio maintains it's their right under Article 37 of the Constitution on the right to picket. The mass action, apart from affecting the climate of the bipartisan talks, will also open another confrontation front with the police after a nasty round of protests that has ended at the ICC doorstep, where Azimio has petitioned the Hague-based court to open investigations on the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, blaming him on the deaths of their supporters during the demos. Apollo Kamau, TV47.
Well, thank you, Apollo Kamau, for that report. Now, moving on to tackling banditry in the country. The government has given its assurance to arrest and prosecute individuals suspected of involvement in banditry in the North Rift region. Kithure Kindiki, the Interior Cabinet Secretary, made this promise during a plenary session where he appeared to answer questions from senators. He reiterated that the ongoing 2-month operation has been successful so far. Kindiki disclosed that security forces are targeting politicians and high-ranking commanders associated with the bandits responsible for these attacks. Mwege William with more.
Order number 2.
Wednesday, Kithure Kindiki was within the Parliament building, appearing at the Senate plenary to respond to questions from senators. The joint operation to deal with banditry taking center stage. Interior Cabinet Secretary exuding confidence that his docket will eradicate banditry. Kindiki outlining that bandits have their own command and security personnel will soon zero in on the suspects.
That very soon we will have high-profile arraignment of the command of bandits, whether they are civilian commanders, politicians, etc. And we want to build a case that will succeed in court.
Kindiki further told senators that despite setbacks experienced by bandit attacks, even as the ongoing joint operation by the National Police Service and Kenya Defence Forces continues, security operation in the area is bearing fruits as they have managed not only to recover stolen livestock but also to repulse many planned attacks.
I can confidently assure the people of Kenya, we have in our radar a number of politicians of different cadres whose activities have been linked to the support, funding, and encouragement of banditry.
Elsewhere, the Interior Cabinet Secretary in a Gazette notice Wednesday declared a 30-day dusk to dawn curfew at Chakama Ranch, where the Shakahola forest is located, as the probe and exhumation of Pastor Mackenzie's members starved themselves to death intensifies. Kindiki in the notice declared the area a disturbed area and a scene of crime. All public gatherings, processions or movements either alone or as a group between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. effective April 26th were banned. Anyone with inquiries, information or missing person report has been advised to report. Alternatively, call 0112 966 857. Mwege William, TV47.
And from the war on banditry to matters health, where Vihiga County has been awarded for attaining the highest coverage of the fully immunized child at 96%, even as the country's average coverage stagnated yet again at 80% in the year 2022. Other counties that were recognized for their efforts in immunization include Machakos County for the highest HPV vaccine coverage and Nairobi, as well as Bungoma counties for leading in COVID-19 vaccination in adults and teenagers respectively. Zainab Mohammed with more.
Speaking during the launch of the National Immunization Week, Health CS Susan Nahumicha congratulated various counties for emerging highest in various categories of the fully immunized child in the year 2022. Vihiga County attained the highest coverage of the FIC at 96%, followed closely by Murang'a, Tharaka Nithi and Nyandarua counties at 95%, Nakuru County at 92% and Mombasa County at 86%.
Last year we were doing at 81% and currently we are actually leading the whole nation with 96%. Our health promotion department has been very active doing health promotion activities within the county, among them community engagement, having school health promotion activities within the county. Again, we've done outreaches, we've done radio talks, among other health promotion activities.
The country's fully immunized child average coverage stagnated yet again at 80%, even as Migori and Samburu counties were awarded most improved at 86% and 66% respectively. For the HPV first and second dose vaccine, the country's coverage was at 63% and 23% respectively, with Machakos County emerging at the top with the highest HPV coverage.
I recognize your efforts in surmounting all the critical challenges, especially in the ASAL area, such as insecurity, some other geographical and social barriers. We therefore need to work together to tackle the challenges in a tailored fashion due to the uniqueness of each county. I would like to mention specifically the need to ensure our girls are protected against cervical cancer through HPV vaccination. Seeing that the vaccine is highly effective and the disease is truly devastating, we should work to rid our communities of myths and misconceptions about the vaccine.
For the COVID-19 vaccine coverage, Nairobi County emerged the highest in vaccine coverage for adults, even as Bungoma County attained the highest COVID-19 vaccine coverage in teenagers. CS Nahumicha expressed concerns over an increase in the number of unvaccinated children in counties with extremely low vaccination rates. The counties include West Pokot and Wajir at 49% and Mandera and Garissa counties at 29% and 23% respectively.
While we have seen an overall improvement in coverage, we are concerned that at county level, the numbers that are unvaccinated continue to increase. Despite the great efforts, some communities have still been left out consistently, and others not fully vaccinated. Unfortunately, most of the populations that miss out on vaccination are usually the most vulnerable.
The ASAL counties constitute 2/3 of Kenya's landmass, and this situation coupled with the high levels of poverty, poor literacy levels, and without good support leads to children being left out, particularly in the hard-to-reach areas. It is noted that all counties with inadequate community units and community health workforce are lagging behind, and this is a definite contributor to poor vaccine coverage. This situation also needs a joint correction strategy to have all the counties, all the country green in terms of vaccine coverage.
Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
Well, thank you, Zainab Mohammed, for that report. Now, still on matters health, victims of sewage water flowing across the Runyu area and its neighboring villages in Mombasa will soon be able to use safe water for farming and salvage themselves from health risks resulting from the dirty water earlier directed to flow towards the ocean's mangrove forest.
This is not a normal waterfall as many would presume from far.
Rather, it is a stream of dirty and smelly water from the uphill estates through Ronyo and neighboring villages towards the ocean, where at least 15,000 families live. The waters are openly subjecting the locals to health-related risks, as well as landslides which have often been witnessed in the area.
Hii maji yanatuletea maradhi ya kolera. Hii maji ikiflow inavunja manyumba za watu.
Wakati zingine inakuja mingi mpaka inaanza kuleta mmomonyoko wa udongo. Na hii land yetu venye iko inakaa katika hali ambayo kwamba haiko stable vizuri.
In addition, the mangrove forest has faced the consequences as they can no longer mature while those in existence change their color. The farmers here have also been using the same untreated water for farming, which according to scientists is not safe.
Maji taka yako na virusi, yako na pia viini vingine ambavyo vinaweza dhuru hasa afya ya watoto na hata watu wazima.
Hata watu wa afya wakiwatatiza, wakiwashika kwa sababu wanaona wanalimia maji ambapo si masafi.
However, lately there has been a sigh of relief following a plan to establish constructed wetlands in the area to facilitate the treated sewage, which was earlier released to the ocean untreated, thus posing a great danger to the marine ecosystem.
Ni system ambao tunaipitisha hayo maji kwenye changarawe, tunayapitisha kwenye changarawe ambao zimebuniwa katika hali fulani, na tunaweka mimea ambao pia itaweza kusababisha hiyo hali ikaweza kubuniwa kwa ajili ya vile viini kuweza kukula hiyo carbon.
On Wednesday, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, which will oversee the project, and the Mombasa Ministry of Water and Blue Economy had visited the area to make consultations and determine where the constructed wetlands will be suitable to place.
Inasaidia sana. Na sasa mangrove ikiwa katika hali nzuri, basi samaki watakuwa wingi, wavuvi wetu watafaidika na mazao yatajaa.
Tarajia ikiwa hii itafaulu, we can use it as a model to replicate it in different sub-counties, but we're also hoping that the country may pick, because the sewer issue is a countrywide crisis.
Paul Munio, TV47, Mombasa.
And in the business news, Makueni County is now the second county to go digital, a month after Nairobi County launched My Nairobi Hub. The platform will include payment for county services, revenue management systems, a citizen reporting and engagement tool, and solutions around agriculture, health, utility bills, and SME programs via M-Pesa. My County will be accessible through a USSD short code, Android and iPhone application. Speaking during the launch, Safaricom Chief Executive Officer Peter Ndegwa said that counties will be able to provide information of their services through the solution. Now, on his part, Makueni County Governor Mutula Kilonzo Jr. said My County app is a great remedy for corruption mitigation. Safaricom expects various counties to embrace the My County app to easily engage with its citizens.
Digital services to people in a way that is convenient, that is easy, but also that is cost effective. And the third thing is about innovation and technology. So it's about combining, and we say, although we're a telecommunication business, it's also, we have a role to combine the role of technology and innovation to bring ideas that improve the way our customers experience services or live their lives, of having a channel where people can actually create and give input. If you cannot communicate, then you're not accessible. So it's fantastic to see this happening. Of course, you'll get better visibility of your revenue collection, as we talked about, better coordination across your ministries in terms of what they are doing and connecting between ministries, and also be able to deliver services at the right cost.
This is an opportunity for wealth creation. It's not just a platform. Initially, it was just a platform for me on this platform to see what you are paying. Top priority. Ladies and gentlemen, It is indeed an exciting time to be alive. As we launch this app, we stand at the cusp of a new era of possibilities, opportunities, and immense potential, where one can harness the power of technology to serve our people and bring tangible transformation to the lives of our people.
Now, the National Treasury has said the broadening of Kenya's revenue base is working and the country is going to reap big. Also, Treasury has promised that the upcoming budget in 2 months' time will adopt a value chain approach to make sure there are no gaps or duplication. Speaking during the 4th Medium-Term Plan NTP 2023 to 2027 National Stakeholders Forum, Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u said that the 4th MTP seeks to solidify the foundations of development with a focus on deepening digital economy. In addition, Ndung'u said the 4th MTP draft has identified policies, programs, and projects with emphasis on bringing down the cost of living. At the same time, Treasury held a public participation forum at Kisii Cultural Hall for citizens to submit their views on the public debt limit.
This meeting provides a forum for us to review the draft 4th MTP to ensure that the policies, the programs, and even the projects are geared towards driving the government's economic agenda, that is the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The draft 4th Medium-Term Plan has identified policies, programs, and even projects with emphasis on bringing down the cost of living, eradicating hunger, creating jobs, especially for the youth, expanding the tax base. That's something I have worked on for several weeks, and we're sure that it is going to give us some results, to raise revenue to finance our budget, improving our foreign exchange balance, and driving inclusive growth. On the macroeconomic front, the real GDP growth is projected to grow at 7.2% in 2027, by 2027. And this growth is expected to be driven by an increase in domestic and foreign investments, are going to drive growth, accelerated industrialization once we focus on targeted areas that we have a relative comparative advantage, and growth of exports by taking advantage of economic partnerships, particularly in the East African community and the African